Good morning. Today we are finishing up with Unit 3. This is our last objective of Unit 3, PO18. It is a PO, it is a power objective. It is important. I can solve two-step equations. What we've been working on so far has been that one step. Today we're adding in another step. So solving an equation with two steps is merely building off the last two objectives and combining the two ideas. So I'm not introducing anything new. We're just combining some objectives together. So we're going to have multi-steps, but it's steps that we already know how to do. It's at this point we move away from the fact family since there's more than one operation in the equation. We can't do a fact family when we have multiple operations. And because our equations are more complex, using logic alone is difficult. So we are going to focus on using opposite operations. And I told us about that on a previous objective, that that's the one we're going to be focusing on when we get to more complicated equations. So 5n plus 7 equals 32. In the equation above, we see there are two operations. 7 is being added to the 5 times n, because remember, when we have that number next to our variable, it means we are multiplying. They don't show the multiplication symbol, but we know that's the operation happening. So we have our two operations, 5 times n plus 7 equals 32. So the opposite of addition is what? And the opposite of multiplication is division, because we want to be doing our opposites. Here is where you need to be careful. When solving for a variable, there is an order that must be followed. And I have been drilling in about doing PERMDAS. Look at this. Now we're doing the opposite of PERMDAS. So now we're going to do our adding and subtracting first, and then do multiplying and dividing. Because we're working on getting our variable by itself. We want to get our variable by ourselves so that multiplying and dividing are connected right to the variable. So we're going to take care of the constant, get that out of the way. So we're just left with the variable on the side. Then we're going to take care of whatever number we're multiplying or dividing that variable by. So when solving for any variable, you're going to plug your solution into the original equation and make sure it works. We're going to check our answer. Make sure that it's the correct answer. All right, so I'm going to work through, oh my goodness. Let's work through how this is going to look. We're going to practice a few, including the equation above. Show your work and show that you are checking your answer. So the equation above was 5n plus 7, so that's this first one right here. 5n plus 7 equals 32. So what's my first step I'm going to do? Gus?
Subtract 7.
Yeah, I'm going to subtract 7. Instead of adding it, I'm going to subtract. Whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I must do to the other side. And then I'm going to bring down that equation. Just like when we were doing the PERMDAS problems, you bring down the equation straight down. So I've got 5n plus 7 minus 7 is 0. So do I have to write a 0 in? No, 0 you can just leave off because it's 0. Then I have to do 32 minus 7. What is 32 minus 7, James? 25. So now I have 5n equals 25. What do I do? What step do I have to do, Emmeline? So what operation am I going to do? What's the opposite operation I need to do? Divide 5 by 5 on both sides. Whatever you do to one side of the equal sign, you do to the other side. 5 divided by 5 is 1 times n. Do I have to put the 1 if I'm multiplying it? No, because it's going to be the same number. So I'm just going to call it n instead of 1n. What is 25 divided by 5, James? 5. So my answer is n equals 5. Now I have to plug it into my equation to check my work. So I'm going to say 5 times 5 plus 7 equals 32. So 5 times 5 is 25, plus 7 equals 32. 25 plus 5 is 32 equals 32.
We have to write out all three of them.
Yes, you do.
You have to write out all of that?
Yep. Because that's how you're showing that your math is correct. Because it is super easy to make a simple mistake with our math. Let's do one more together. Which one do you guys want me to do?
Last one.
Let's do a division one. So I did multiplying once, now let's do a division one. N over 4 plus 13 equals 15. What is my first step going to be, Emmett? Subtract 13. So I'm going to bring down my equation, n over 4. 13 minus 13 is 0, so I don't have to write that again. 15 minus 13 is what? 2. Okay, so now I have n over 4 equals 2. What is my next step? Alexis? So n over 4 is what operation is being done? What is that fraction bar mean? Yeah, that's division. So I want to do its opposite. I want to multiply by 4. So you always have to think, what operation is in our equation? What's its opposite? So 4 times 4, multiply 4 divided by 4 gets me the 1. So I'm just going to put my n. 2 times 4 is 8. So n equals 8. I need to go back and put it in my problem. 8 divided by 4 plus 13 equals 15. 8 divided by 4 is 2 plus 13 equals 15. 2 plus 13 is 15 equals 15. So I know I found the correct answer. Emily.
For problems like this, you need to do this separately. You need to put the n over 4 and divide by 4. You need to multiply the 4 by 4 and plus 2 times 4.
So here's Emily's question. We had n over 4 equals 2. She just asked, do we need to multiply this side times 4, or can we just multiply over here times 4? If we don't multiply by 4 here, if we skip that step, then we have n over 4 equals 8.
Uh-oh.
Does n over 4 equal 8? No, because if we're bringing this down, we need to multiply by that 4 to get rid of that 4. Do you need to show it? You sure do. Guys, it's not that much I'm asking you to write, okay? Your hand will be fine by the time you're done with this assignment. It is not that much. Why do I ask for us to fully write out every step? Who knows? Am I just being mean?
Simple mistake.
There's simple mistakes. Why else? Gus?
It's just going to be a bigger equation with more steps, and you're not going to be able to just do it in your head.
Ding, ding, ding. There will be bigger equations coming. It is October. We have all the way until the beginning of June, friends. So our math is going to get more complicated. I want to make sure that you have the steps mastered now. So when we get to the more complicated math, we don't make simple mistakes because we're trying to do the mental math. I want you writing it out, so you're in the habit of writing it out, so when it gets complicated, you're writing it out and doing it correctly. So I know you can do mental math with some of these. I don't want to see mental math. I want to see it written out so we are in the correct habit of doing it.
This is confusing because if you multiply 4 by 4, you get.
You're not multiplying 4 by 4. You're multiplying 4 by dividing 4. So just like when we had a plus 6 minus 6, it's the same concept. The opposite, plus 6 minus 6, if we have multiplied by 4, we're dividing it. Multiply by 4 divided by 4, you're going to get a 1. If you multiply 3 by 4 and then divide it by 4, you're going to get 3 as your answer, right? You're multiplying it, dividing it by the same number, so you're going to end up with that whole number for your answer. So this isn't, when I say times 4, I'm timesing the n by 4. I'm not timesing 4 by the 4 in the denominator. If we look at putting it as our fraction, multiplying by 4 is 4 over 1, right? So if we multiply going across, we're going to get 4n over 4. So we're canceling out 4 divided by 4. So you multiply by 4 and then you divide it by 4. So you can't forget that this means divided by 4. You're not multiplying 4 times 4 and getting 16. Okay? This is what we're doing. I'm saving you the step of writing this out. So I am saving you a step. Okay? But this is what it looks like. 4 times n, 1 times 4. So it's 4n divided by 4. Does that make more sense, Evelyn? Kind of. Picture it like this. It would be 4n divided by 4. So the 4 divided by 4 is 1. Okay. Let's look at our second page. So this, remember on that first page it says show your work and show that you are checking it. So I expect to see your work and you checking it. And then here, more practice. Show your work and check that you have checked, and show that you have checked your answer. So we're showing our work and showing that we've checked it. Let's look at the bottom of our page. Write a two-step equation with a variable value of 5. Two-step equation. You should have a multiplying or dividing. You should have an adding or subtracting. Who thinks they can come up with an example for us? Two-step equation with a value of 5. Hugo. Okay. Let's see what this would look like. Oh, careful. Variable value of 5. It doesn't equal 5. Here, let's see this. It doesn't equal 5. This is why we're doing a sample. So we check our, make sure we don't make that mistake. There you go. We have two steps. We have an adding and we have a multiplying. If n equals 5, our variable value is 5. So I'm going to say 4 plus 1 is 5 times n. N is 5. 5 times 5 equals 25. Does that make sense? So be careful. Variable value means your variable is going to equal that number, not the answer to your equation. I see a lot of faces down trying to get work done. We have plenty of work time, friends. This is a mistake I saw a lot of friends make last year. Be careful. Completely read what you need to do. First mistake people made, was they set it to equal that instead of the variable value. Second mistake, 2 steps. You should have a multiplying and dividing step. You should have an adding and or subtracting step. Shouldn't be an adding and an adding. Shouldn't be a multiplying and then a dividing. A multiplying dividing step, an adding or subtracting step. Okay, so we have a good example up here. N times 4 plus 1 equals 25. So you can write that down for this first one. You need to do the second two on your own. Be careful with your negative. If your variable value is a negative, think it through. James. Do you have a question or did you have an example?
I did a different example.
Okay, and that's okay if you do a different example. We're only putting the one up for the recording lesson. Tomorrow when we correct, we'll go through other ways. There's not just one answer for those equations. We'll go through them tomorrow. So with that, for my friends at home, we hope you are well. We hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.